Hey y'all. Hey y'all. Hey
Now
y'all.
we
Hey
are
y'all.
live.
Okay. Do you know what today is?
It's our well anniversary. I got so many. I could look over
Do
here.
you know what today is?
I'm just looking everywhere.
Today
Yeah,
is
we black.
Thursday.
We black. We black. We black. We black. We are black, ain't we?
Yeah, but
Last time I checked,
Yes, indeed.
yeah,
I don't
pray
know.
for
They
my
told me I was
brother.
an Oreo when I was smaller, so
So now, first of all, today is Thursday.
It
We
is
are so
Thursday.
grateful for our guest
Yes,
for
we
this
are.
week, Miss Raven. That's so Raven.
No, she said she does not want to be associated with
please
Raven
don't.
Simone in any
Please
shape, form, or
don't.
fashion because she is
said-
having an identity crisis.
She is,
She is. She
and
can't
I know
Before
who I
sex.
am. I know that I'm a child of God,
Hey, man.
and she's having some challenges in that
She
area.
is having some
So,
Glory
issues
to the
on
Father.
different levels. But we're gonna go ahead and have a word from our sponsor.
Yes, we want to give a great big shout out to our sponsor today, David Jones. And it says, are you renting? Why? You're already paying a mortgage, just not yours. Allow me to walk you through the home buying process. You'll be happy you finally made the move to home ownership. Ready to sell, ready to buy, or you ready to lease a home? Then call your hometown realtor, David Jones of Arnow Realtors. He is your luxury home specialist. He is an accredited buyer and seller representative. You can reach him at 214 797 3898. Again, that's 214 797 3898. Or you can email him at DD, that's David Jones, 0363 at gmail.com. Again, DD Jones 0363 at gmail.com. We want to give him a shout out and a great big thank you to David Jones of Arnow Realtors for sponsoring us on tonight. And if you want to be a sponsor,
Messages,
please.
call us, text us, Facebook
It costs
us.
money to do what we do, but we love what we
But
do
we love it, and we're doing it for the glory
for the
of
glory of the Father.
our daddy,
Yes.
Abba. He's amazing.
yes.
But and that's exactly what we're here to talk about.
All right.
How amazing he's been to our guest.
Yeah.
So you know what, Sister Raven? She says I have to prompt her.
Listen, okay, so when we first had this conversation, Holy Spirit took over at that moment, and so I need her to usher it on in so it can flow again.
So basically, she'll be talking about her testimony in regards to some marriages that she's had, the things that she had to deal with, work through, and the things that she faced in that, and how she faced it, how she came through it with God, how He led her, to the place that she's in now. So we're gonna start at the beginning of your first marriage.
Who at the beginning? Okay,
At the beginning.
The beginning.
that's a
What's the
long
word?
time ago. All right. So I got married when I was 19. 19. That was after having my son. So take it back. All right. So I met my first husband when I was in just coming out of high school, going into my first year of college, and it was over the summer, and we got pregnant pretty much right away. So, yeah, so I was 17, living on campus, and got pregnant in November. So we ended up having our son, who was special needs. His name was Kyron, and yes, I got pregnant at 17.
So you had a special needs child at 18.
At 18, yeah. So I turned 18 that December, and I had him in April. He was 3 months early, born at 23 weeks. So I ended up having him and moved in with his dad maybe a couple of months later. And then a year later, we got married. So we lived together, did the whole shacking up thing. My dad was against it. My mom was like, have at it. Her whole thing was, you're a woman now, so, do your thing.
It's your situation.
Right. So that marriage was I don't even know what's the best way to explain it besides the fact that God was all in that thing, around it, covered it, moved it through some things, and we still made it through. Um, I was in, I'm a pharmacist, so I was in a pre pharmacy program, and a lot of things happen that you wouldn't really expect, I guess, to happen in a normal, mature, I should say mature. That's the right word. A mature marriage.
I don't
So-
know.
You probably would be
Mature marriages,
surprised
you
at
know.
what happens in
Right.
some
Yeah.
mature marriages.
Yeah.
This is true too. So the one thing that I was telling Brianna that stood out was when I graduated. I graduated when I was pregnant with our second child.
From
So
pharmacy school.
from pharmacy school. So it was a 6-year program. We have Kyron, who's special needs. He's blind, cerebral palsy, and pretty much we had to do everything for him. And I'm still going to pharmacy school. I am taking him to all of his appointments because his dad didn't feel comfortable taking him to his appointments. He um, didn't know what to tell doctors, so forth and so on. So everything kind of fell back on me, besides the fact that I was going into a medical profession.
May I ask, had he accepted what had happened to your son? Was he able to wrap his mind around it? Because Christy and I know what that's like. Because when we found out about Austin, it was like, Lord, this ain't what you promised me.
Yeah.
What's going on? So had
I
he
don't-
really fully accepted and wrapped his mind around what's going on with, especially for men with their sons?
Yeah. I don't think he ever did. I think he had a hard time embracing the fact that Karen was always going to need help. Um, and that even showed past our marriage. He and his new wife would go on trips, and they would take our daughter, but leave Karen behind. So it was really hard for him to adjust to the fact of me having to care for him in every area, pretty much for the rest of his life. Whereas for me, I got to a point where I was like, okay, Lord, this is, you brought him this far.
Your mom.
He's 23 weeks, like, I got this. And like, it's going to be me and you forever. And that was, that was how I looked at it. But yeah, it was hard for him. And he never said it, though. That's the thing. He never verbalized, this is hard for me.
Yeah.
It was always,
And I say it all the time.
but at least you can say it.
I
He
mean,
would,
Austin is not as bad off as you guys have seen him. He's not. It's nearly as bad off as some. So we are blessed in that regard, but
that-
it's still hard.
yeah.
Jesus.
No,
We'll talk about that one day.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he never, and I think that part of that made it harder on our marriage because he did not verbalize some of the things that he was feeling. And I didn't verbalize what I was feeling in reaction to what he was doing. So
So nobody talking.
nobody talked.
Nobody talking about nothing.
Nobody. No, we didn't talk about
Dysfunctioning.
anything.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when arguments came around, it was him going upstairs to, the game room, shutting him down, and me being in bed. So there was. It's funny because my daughter says, "Oh, I can remember y'all arguing." I'm like, when? When did
She said she could.
She said she could. She was 4. I'm like, what do you remember?
It
What,
takes
what,
two to argue.
what argument are you remembering? Because your dad would always go upstairs and shut himself in the room, and
Maybe she meant leading up to going upstairs. She talking about the
Was
part
she
before that.
listening
When
against
y'all,
that
when
door?
y'all had a couple of sentences.
right, yeah, and she must have been leaning up against the door because we really didn't do that, in front of her. And she was only 4 when we divorced, so we had this thing that we would do for every New Year's. We said, okay, we're gonna make love going into the new year. We're going to continue to talk about the things that we want to work on for our relationship, and go forth and work on things that way. Well, we got to this very last year. We had been together 8 years. 8 years.
This is including the maritime or the time that you guys.
This
just
is
been
include.
together?
This is married time.
Okay.
So just consider the year before. So what, 9 years altogether. Um, this very last year, we were fine. We were by his cousin's house, and we're like, okay, we're doing this thing all over again, holding each other at night. We're talking about how we're gonna work on things, and no less than 2 weeks later, 2 weeks, I get a phone call while I'm at work. He is fussing because my sister, who was living with us at the time, ate my daughter's leftover cheeseburger. Leftover cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
A McDonald's leftover
That's
cheeseburger.
it. I'm trying to
And
figure out why you say that's what I'm like.
Listen,
She said she was 4 years old.
So
You
it's
know,
I
McDonald's.
wasn't saying that
So how
she's
we do
poor.
with
She
kids?
doesn't care.
You
It's
throwing that
it's-
away? We
it's
eat that.
food. You don't eat that
Can
later.
we eat that later?
You were supposed to finish it. Why didn't you finish it? Oh, you gonna finish it
Ugh,
later.
that's
So the fries are always good.
not enough.
So he calls while I'm at work, and pharmacist busy getting my butt kicked, and he's fussing about this hamburger. He's like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I want to separate.
That was just.
It was just the reason.
That was just the
That was just
reason.
the reason.
That
That was the cover.
Yeah.
So every time we had gotten into it previously, there was a mention of divorce on his side. So to me, for him to call me while I was at work and to actually be like, yeah, I'm done while I'm at work over a hamburger was just like, wow.
Okay. Yeah, we done for real this time.
Right. So when I got home, I braced myself for that conversation because I knew it wasn't going to go well. So when I got home, we're sitting in the office, the kids are in their rooms, and he's thought about this. He's had this all laid out. So he says, so who's going to keep the house? So I went into my petty mode because here I am a pharmacist and I'm making a good bit of money.
You stop. That's his
I mean,
mantra.
I'm sorry. I went to
Petty by
the
nature.
I'm petty by nature.
So he's like, well, who's going to keep the house? And I was like, can you afford the house?
Shondo.
If you can afford it, you
Stick
sure
'em.
can have it.
Stick 'em.
Right?
Sure can.
So he's like, got quiet on that. So we had just bought a car. So he's like, okay, so do you want to keep the Toyota or do you want the Honda? We just bought the Toyota. That was the new one. It's like, can you afford the Toyota?
Mm.
So he was like, okay,
No.
all right.
I guess I'm taking the Honda.
I'm 2 for
then.
2.
I guess I'm
Right.
taking the Honda with no house. Okay.
So then he says, well, what about alimony? It's like, okay.
Now, mind you, he ain't saying nothing about how we gonna do the kids.
Mm-mm.
Mm,
We gonna separate on the
we ain't even got to that part yet. We ain't get to
She's
that part
like,
yet.
the house, the car, the
Or
money.
like, yeah. So I had to gently remind him that gently that
Are we showing Jesus at this time?
I was not saved at this time.
So I'm sure that gently reminded
Right. Was a little.
aired on.
No, that
Rough.
gently reminder was a whole lot of sarcasm and a whole lot of attitude and let me break this down to you. See, I put you through school and you put me through school. So therefore, there is no alimony.
So
It's a wash. So he was
Like
like,
this.
yeah, he didn't like that. So a couple of days later, 2, he says, I found an apartment. Wait, you found a what? And I'm moving in on February 1st. Just 2 weeks into January, where all this is going down, on top of the fact that we just came off of our New Year's Eve routine of how we're going to make things work and better.
Yeah.
And you tell me 2 days later from us having this separation conversation that you
already found
have already found an apartment.
Which is pretty fast because finding an apartment ain't
It
really
take a
that
little bit of
easy.
time. You got
Yeah.
application fee.
Yeah.
You got to be approved.
You gotta be approved and stuff.
You know.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So he says,
Hmm.
well, when you have a small budget, it's not that many apartments you can go to. So
Good point. Good point.
I'm like, okay, so now this has really been on your mind. If you
Right.
found an apartment
Right.
like just that
Right.
quick, like you've been wanting out. And he's like, well, can I stay here for the next 2 weeks? I'm like, nah, you can go to your cousin's house right across, they're right around the corner. You can go there. Like you don't want to,
Might
you
as well
don't
start
want
the
to,
separation
right?
process.
If you want to start the process, you've already found an apartment. You might as well just go. Like go now. And that day that he did go, I probably cried like I've never cried before because I so did not see that coming. That it threw me off. Like really threw me off. Like I really just could not believe that was happening. So we set up separation period. We set up visitations with the kids. Of course, visitations were still we're still married, so we still have needs. So we're still partaking of those.
Y'all still having sex.
Yeah.
Just say that.
That was she saying. That was she was trying to say.
Get it in.
That was
Y'all are
she
still
trying to say.
married, so
She was still doing having Mr. Nasty time.
Listen.
Hallelujah time. Hallelujah time.
That's the
Hallelujah
that's
time.
hey, praise him. So every
worship that.
every Wednesday he would, come to visit the kids, and he'd want to sleep over and spend time with the kids and yada yada yada, which turned into him eventually spending time with me, so forth and so on. Kids went by his house every other weekend, and this went on for a few months. Well, one of those times we ended up at his place, and this is when I knew that this was going to be over. This was March. So I ended up filing for divorce because he introduced toys to the scene, sex toys.
Oh. What butt beads? What
So,
what
I
are
mean, do we have to have for real?
You gotta know what it was.
I mean, what kind of toys would he be using?
Toys R Us.
I mean, that he would be partaking of. I mean,
No,
because he's
to-
all
to
the toy. I would think he'd be all the toy that you would use.
Partake of
Pray
with
for me.
me,
So we
which
got
had never
butt
been done
beads.
before. So
Something I
every
could think of that a man would use be butt beads. I
Why do
don't
you
know.
gotta keep saying it?
But I'm saying.
not to use on you or you know what
Simone.
he need help.
So what's wrong? We need to understand why.
That's all I was just. I mean, the
the
people.
problem with
curiosity.
okay, so the problem with that is that we've been together for 9 years plus going on, and now you enter something on a scene that we've never experienced before, which only means in my mind someone else has introduced it to you.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. That's good.
So
And at that point, it was safe to say that.
at that point, it was safe to say that for me. So at that point, I started seeing other people. Filed for divorce. And we went through our whole divorce process. Now, let's fast forward.
I would fast forward.
We fast forward.
Well, I don't want to fast forward just one moment.
Oh no, we need to fast forward. But go ahead.
Fast forward. Just
Um,
I need some answers.
Did we ever really discuss the reason for the dissolution of the marriage? I mean, did y'all ever get to that point, or is that what's coming in the fast forward?
That's coming in the fast forward.
Well, let's fast forward. I wanted to know, did we ever get to the point where he said, "This is why"?
So, throughout all those arguments that we had, it was I wasn't domestic enough. I wasn't, the wife, the stay-at-home wife. I was working. I wasn't, cleaning the house and cooking and yada yada. Which you knew that when you married me, but I'm just saying
Well, why didn't have that conversation with you instead of just saying?
because he wasn't a talker. You got to remember that. Every time we went, I wanted to talk. Every time I wanted to, let's get this out and open and in the air. It was, I'm going upstairs again. So fast forward to September. Divorce is final.
What year is this?
This is all still the same year, 2006.
Hey, I'm just graduating high school.
You know what? I'm gonna need you to not focus on
You
my
been
age.
old
right
stuff.
You said you graduated in 06?
Yeah.
You graduated in 96.
Good.
I'm gonna need you.
Okay, yeah.
Not focus on that.
All right. I
Anyway.
ain't
So
gonna
I've got a question.
Mhm.
And so I'm not gonna ask anymore, but it made me think about something. So y'all never really talked about it because he didn't talk. Could it be that from what he's seen in his past, or past relationships, past people, made him become kind of immune to wanting to talk, or even closing off from wanting to talk? Like maybe his father didn't talk, maybe, you know, maybe that made him bottle up his feelings, and not knowing how to express them was probably the ultimate ending to, you know what I'm saying, your marriage. Could that be it?
That could be his dad and his mom and dad were married, stay married, but their relationship was very, I guess you could say, standoffish. I can remember them being in separate rooms at times, and his dad would sleep in one room, his mom would sleep in the other room. That wasn't something that I saw on a daily basis. Of course, I wasn't with them, but I do know those two rooms existed. So that could be part of it. As far as past relationships, I was 17, he was 18 when we met, so it's not like we really talked about past relationships. I don't think at that age anybody really truly talked about what your past was like.
Had a past.
Right.
Had a couple of girlfriends in the 10th grade.
There you go.
But it's still critical and still key,
Yeah.
because how you are in past relationships sometimes gets you messed up in new relationships.
Correct.
True.
Because
Which is what happened.
now I got a whole wife and she goes and works and she talks back. See what I'm saying? So
Yeah, this wife was working 80 plus hours sometimes a week, and still taking care of the
But
kids.
yeah, I was gonna say, talk about that part a little bit more in regards to you're in this marriage. This is pretty much all you've known since a young age. You have now 2 kids, one with special needs. And you work out, like you said, sometimes 80 plus hours. What is going on with you in this marriage basically by yourself? Like you have this whole family, this whole functioning family, but you're doing it all by yourself.
Honestly, I was just trying to make things work. Literally, it was if you don't want to talk, okay, we're not going to talk. I wasn't vocal in that area. I wasn't. I was as passive as I could be, as to not trigger the end result, which kind of knew.
So suppression was your form of
right.
We're not dealing with it.
Yeah,
Right.
But in the hours, I'm thinking about the hours you're working, I'm thinking about your son and how your husband was kind of hands off. Who was there for him?
We had people coming to the house.
Okay.
So we had caregivers coming to the house. There are times when my sister lived with me at times. My mom also moved to the area for a little bit. So we had people that were helping us. And then the times when I wasn't at work, I was with them. So there would be times when if I'm working late, I'm coming home, giving them a bath and all that stuff, putting them in the bed.
But he's normally home most of the times before you get home.
Yeah.
And when you get home, it's more,
Dead to work.
here's your
Yeah.
kids.
Pretty much.
I've been here with them all day. What, have you fed them? No, they waiting on you. Have you bathed them? No, we've been waiting on you.
No, he was feeding.
That's the McDonald's
I
hamburger. The McDonald's hamburger.
I mean, that is easy. You can just drive by somewhere and get this.
He would he definitely would feed them. He was not as hands on as I would like them to be, but he was there. And I just wanted us all to stay there. You know what I mean? Like it was hard enough having a family that was with a kid that was special needs. We had all these different things going on with him. We had Kylie, who always kind of sort of felt like she didn't have attention, even though she was still, kind of young in it, because she saw us doing everything for her brother. So it just, and she still, to this day, still sort of feels that way. She still, but even after Kylie passed away, she kind of felt that way about her younger brother, as far as but I just was trying to hold it all together.
Yeah.
Before you fast forward, I wanted to find out what was the dynamic of the relationship like between your mom and dad?
My mom and dad got divorced when I was 11. And so as far as like seeing what a functioning marriage is, or a good marriage is, or a godly marriage is, I didn't truly have that. My dad cheated on my mom for the majority of his marriage to her. They were married for 17 years. He cheated 18 years.
18 and 17. Y'all do the math.
I have twin sisters that were born at the same time as my older sister that we grew up with. I have a younger sister that was born out of wedlock for another woman. So, so my dad was not that. Papa was a Rolling Stone, okay?
He laid his head.
Well, you're not on the rights to this music.
Right. So that as far as seeing a good marriage and to know what a marriage was like and to know how to work in a good marriage, I didn't really have that. So I did what I could. And the whole time I'm like trying to go to church with him and trying to grow in that area. We joined the church. We not, back off in the church. I can remember he used to go to work every weekend, then change jobs to where he had every weekend off, but he still wouldn't go to church. And it got to a point where I stopped going to church because he wasn't going to church because it was too hard for me to get the kids together for me to go to church by myself. So I had to get over that point. And part of it was an excuse. Part of it was, okay, he's not going, so I'm not going to go either.
He's the priest of the house.
So yeah. But that part was hard. I think that had to be the hardest part, was trying to grow in my faith when I truly, truly wanted to have that relationship with God, and I always felt like something was holding me back. And that was part of it. And I'm not saying that he doesn't believe, but I don't think we were ever at the same point in our lives at the same time when we were truly seeking him at the same time, the way that we wanted to, if that makes sense.
Right.
So
Fast forward to
September
2006.
so fast forward, September 2006. Yes, fast forward. Now, so he meets someone that he claims to have met in September. No, as I said, claim. He proposed, back up. He moved in with said female in December. He proposed to said female in December. He married her in August. Did y'all catch the timeline? Supposedly met September. So you said
September,
December moved in.
December
proposed
and
married in August.
Y'all was married. And this wasn't even a year after y'all got divorced?
We been divorced a few months.
Because that was March, right?
Yeah, the divorce was finalized in September.
The ink was still wet.
Wait,
On
what?
the documentation.
Yeah.
So when he started messing with her?
That's the
Ding,
question.
ding, ding. That's the
the
question of the day. He claims I was not with her when I was
I met her at the courthouse when I filed the documents.
I met her at the gym.
Oh, at the
Yeah,
gym.
that was
After I found the documents.
after you filed the documents.
Oh, okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay, best friend.
Everything in me says that that's all a bold-faced lie, and he's gonna take it to his grave.
Bald head lie.
A bald head lie.
Bald head lie. What's on Martin? Bald head lie.
Yeah.
Get the special head bald
Yeah,
head.
yeah. And he's really gonna take that one to the grave.
That's a story. He's sticking to it.
Keep it
That's his
alive.
story. He's sticking to it till this day. It's been, and he's still married to her. I love her. She's awesome. She is. We had that first conversation that he did not want us to have.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. You have kids.
Exactly. I called. He called, or I called, one of the two. I was like, "Hey, I need to talk to Kim." So,
No last name.
I was
Impossible.
like, "Hey, I need to talk to her," and he's like, "What do you want to talk to her about?" I'm like, "Cause she's gonna be around my kids," and he's like, "You don't need to talk to her, and I'm gonna be around." I'm like, "No, I need to have that woman-to-woman talk because she's gonna be around my kids, and I need to know that they're gonna be taken care of, especially with the fact of having a special needs child.
Right.
I need to know that you're gonna
Especially because you ain't taking care of them. So, best friend.
I need to know that she's going to be comfortable enough to be around him and do the things that he needs done." And she got on the phone and she was just as sweet as can be. That was like a blessing in that moment. And I had so much peace after that. She was just like, "I understand. I know Kyron has special needs. I know all the things that's going on with him. You know, I'm going to be there." And I was just like, "Okay, we're good." And that's that. And we have literally had an amicable relationship ever since then. Probably better than the one that I had with him. That's the funny part about it. She was there when Kyron passed. We were all at the hospital. We sat in the cafeteria. We had a long talk. She was
Take us to that one.
What year was that?
Kyron passed in 2014. So
wait, because that was after the second marriage.
yeah, that's after.
Okay,
the
well, let's go to
marriage.
second marriage first, and then we're going.
Okay, so second marriage. Well, you do things out of hurt, and
Who does that?
who does that?
Does
This girl. So
don't do that.
I met my second husband at a graduation party for my brother, and he was
Turn up, turn up, turn up.
It really was turn up. He was introduced to me by my sister, and in her words, he was only meant to be a booty call.
I'm gonna drink my water.
You can turn the booty call into a house husband.
Yeah, well, that's what happened.
He didn't leave.
For me, I was hurting. I was still going through things, hadn't even healed, nowhere near healed from the relationship. Watching my ex-husband now with his new wife and me
It's got to be.
alone,
He ain't gonna leave me by myself.
pretty much. So I had to have a replacement. And this person that she brought into my life, I saw how my son reacted to him. My son kind of lit up when he was standing around him, and I was like, okay, well, he's comfortable with him. Well, I could work that out. Keep in mind, he was totally opposite from the person that I was just married to. So he was pretty much thug. He was hood. He was hood. Yeah. Anyway,
Flashbacks of just fire.
so that was not the best relationship at all. We were married for 4 years. We were together for 6 years total. 6 years total. So when we first got together, it was kind of this back and forth thing for a while until we're like, okay, I really want to, try this thing out. And the way that happened was he called me for his birthday. He lived in Houston, and I was in Dallas. And he was like, "Hey, it's my birthday, and we're all gonna hang out. Do you want to come down here?" And I was like, "Hey, I don't have the kids this weekend. Why not?" Yeah, the next month he ended up moving to Dallas. That's how that happened. So from that point on,
Heck of a weekend.
Right.
it was a
I
heck of a
think
weekend.
I was thinking. I must have went on
So,
down there. And
yeah.
you didn't did.
Something.
You done turned up,
Yeah.
turned out,
Out.
turned upside down.
Yeah,
Glory, glory.
Man, them dudes are whole city.
I mean,
So
you know it's real. When she didn't say move here with me, I'm gonna follow you.
right.
So he ended up moving in, and we ended up getting pregnant at August. I think it was, August. After that,
Y'all
No.
weren't married at the point. so-
no, we weren't married at that point. He was just living with me, helping me take care of the kids, and I helped him get another car. I did a lot. I did a lot. But we ended up getting pregnant in August. We lost that baby in December, and she was stillborn. And instead of me taking that time to heal, so I had more hurt on top of that. So I'm now hurting from the previous divorce,
Mhm.
and on top of that, the hurt from the stillborn, and I threw myself into planning a wedding that never should have happened.
So how did that come about? Was there did he actually propose, or did y'all just decide, hey, we had the baby, we're
We're
now
gonna do this.
connected and tied. The next step is let's get married.
It was pretty much. It was. I'm not going to be shaking up. This is my demand. I'm not going to be shaking up anymore. You've been here, pretty much a good bit of time. It's either we're going to get married or
They don't.
there you go. Or we're not doing this.
We're gonna use that house.
And
Ain't fine.
there you go. We ended up planning the wedding. So he didn't propose. I didn't propose. We ended up going pick out rings and
That was it.
went to full-fledged wedding planning. And the December that we got married, so my birthday's December 26th. So we went home for our wedding, went to New Orleans. And we had
He from
Christmas.
New Orleans.
He from New Orleans.
Oh Lord, listen. I love Louisiana.
Stop
I
it now.
got an ex or two from Louisiana, but
I mean,
What?
From the 504 baby.
they're not all that way. I mean,
From the ninth wall.
Cause you met some that aren't though.
yeah, there's some there's some of them that actually have sense.
They got some in the back though. They still got it's always there. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Anyway, after she dragging on the men from my
I
hometown,
look
she
good.
apologized.
I'm sorry,
She
Louisiana.
apologizes.
Shout out to y'all.
She doesn't
Louisiana.
understand
I
there are
love
some
y'all.
good
Hot
men that
balls.
come from
I
there.
love y'all.
They're not all hot boys. We don't want even though he, but and moving on. So right the same month of the wedding, I found out I was pregnant with Christian. And like, okay, here we go. And that just created that bond because I had my mom telling me, you don't need to get married to this guy, but I wasn't listening. And as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I was like,
Yes, I do. It's confirmation.
there you go. That's confirmation.
That's my real
Are you
stomach,
really?
y'all.
Are you really pushing your stomach out?
No, ma'am. Somebody want to sponsor gym membership. That's what we need sponsorships.
Listen.
from. Hello.
So
Hey, I'm trying to help us out. Planet Fitness.
that marriage
Anyway.
was you're silly. That marriage was all kind of rocky, all kind of wrong, all kind of everything that it wasn't supposed to be. Okay, so he attempted to molest my daughter. Um, I didn't believe my daughter. Well, I'm not going to say I didn't believe her at first, because at first, when she first told me, the night that she told me, I called the police, got him out the house.
How old was she?
She had to be about 9.
So he hadn't physically done it. He attempted to.
Correct.
Okay.
So she says that he went to her room and asked her to take down her underwear, and she told him no. And he was like, "Well, you want me and you to have a good relationship so that your mom will be happy, right?" So they had always had a rocky relationship from the beginning. These are her words. I missed all the red flags.
Yeah.
That was a sign.
That ain't a sign. That's a that's
They
that's a
not
get out.
getting along. I'm not talking about
Oh,
the
you
kids, I'm
talking
talking about
about-
the
okay.
fact that they weren't connected.
Yeah.
Well,
And
and
you know sometimes how kids.
I know, but I trust me. I know.
and that's how I was thinking, because
It's
the
not
moment
Yeah.
the first day that she met him, it was, "You're not my daddy." Like, literally those words came out of her mouth. So it was hard, hard for me to really see whether it was something about him that she didn't like, or it just was the fact that it wasn't her
Yeah.
dad that was there.
Did you ever talk to her to find out?
No, I become accustomed to not talking.
Gotcha.
So she
So-
tells you this. He said, "You want us to have a good relationship, don't you?" And how did she respond to that?
She said that she told him to get out and that he left. Now this was one of the nights that I was at work, so I don't know. At
So you were
this
home.
time, yeah, I wasn't home,
Oh, Jesus.
so I don't
Well,
know
thank God though, because
Thank
that
God.
would have been way worse.
exactly. So she was like, she told me about it, and like I said, I called the police, got him out the house. They did the whole investigation, took her to counseling, all of that stuff. So he was gone for probably about a month or so. And then the police were like, "Well, we don't have any evidence. We don't have anything that says that he did anything. It's her word against his word." And at this time, I'm like, I have a child at home that does not have his father in the house. And I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about the fact that it's a possibility that she could be lying because she just really doesn't like him. I'm also thinking about this will be another divorce, Raven. One more divorce. So all of those things went through my head, and I ended up letting him come back in. At that point, I made sure that they were never alone. So whenever I went to work, she went to my mom's house. He never picked her up from school or anything like that. So I took measures to make sure that they were never alone. And our relationship just has not been, my daughter and our relationship was never the same from that point. Because she felt like I didn't put her first. She felt like I put him first. Well, and he did some more stuff, like got into a fight with my brother where he was my brother was holding his son. His son was about almost a year at the time. And Christian was in the bedroom, and they got into this altercation over something. My brother was asking me to do something for him, and I was saying no. And he stepped into the conversation, and my brother kind of cussed him, and he clicked.
This is your husband.
Yeah, this is my husband. My husband clicked at the time and literally just started fighting him, got to the point of choking him, and almost choked him until he blacked out. He almost blacked out. The kids are still in the room. They're seeing this. My nephew was in his arms, and he kind of got thrown onto the bed. And I ended up calling police. They took him away, and he was staying here, there, and everywhere. And eventually, that was the point where I was like, okay, I gotta file for divorce. I can't do this anymore. But I stayed because I didn't want to. I had him stay. I should say that because I didn't want to experience divorce again. I didn't want to fail again. I didn't want to. Didn't want to subject my son to the same thing that my other kids had just gone through with their dad. So I held on to a lot, trying to make things right, trying to be the peacemaker. You know, so in all of that, I went through a whole bunch of stuff after that, seeking love over and over and over again. Several relationships, situationships, whatever you want to call it, till I found God. And I was just like, I got into my wit's end and I was done. I had gotten to a point where I just didn't want to hurt anymore. I didn't want to cry anymore. And I became a part of TOU when they had the Pray for Your Spouse Challenge. Yes, TOU. Found the Pray for Your Spouse Challenge, and it was that it was a Thursday night that they like completely broke me down, and in that moment gave my life to God and was like, I'm not looking back.
Yes. What year was this one?
That was last year.
Amen.
Better late than never.
Listen, God is good, y'all. God is good. We're gonna have you pray us out real quick. And real quick, real quick. Yeah.
All right. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you. Thank you for this evening. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for the words. And we just pray that someone has been helped by hearing this, that someone has been blessed by this. And we want to thank you. And hopefully everyone makes it, or preferably everyone will make it home safe. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Man.
So much prayer.
We're going to have a bag so we can flesh and expound a little bit more. Amen.
Bye.
Bye.
We're recording producing as well. So we're trying to do two things at the same time.
Multitasking.